This film has been produced by Cerebral Palsy Sport, a charitable organisation based in Nottingham whose aim is to provide sporting opportunities to those with not just cerebral palsy, but any disability. The purpose of the film is to give you an introduction to the game of boccia. Spelt BOCCIA, but pronounced boccia, it's an easy-to-learn game for anyone and everyone. It can be a gentle recreational activity or a fiercely competitive Paralympic sport. It's an internationally recognised game, organised worldwide by CP ISRA, the Cerebral Palsy International Sports and Recreation Association. The game was originally designed for those with severe cerebral palsy, but has developed into a game played by many sections of the community. Boccia is totally inclusive and can be played by anyone regardless of age, gender, background, ability or disability, but it's particularly suited to people with disabilities. It's a game of skill and subtlety. Physical strength is not key to playing boccia. Accuracy and strategy are more important. The game itself is an ancient game, similar to the ball sports of ancient Greece and the Roman Empire, from which contemporary bowls, boule, pétanque and ten-pin bowling evolved. Simply get your ball as close to the jack as you can. Boccia can be played competitively within minutes without the need of any specialist knowledge of the game. However, like any other sport, to reach Paralympic level requires years of dedication, training and practice. It's played from a seated position, making it ideal for either manual or motorised wheelchair users. The aim of the game is to propel a set of 6 coloured balls, positioning more of them as close as possible to a white jack ball than the 6 balls of your opponent. The balls used to play boccia have a pliable quality, making it easier for people with a disability to manipulate them. The balls may be kicked, thrown or rolled into play. Here we see players using various techniques to propel the ball. Some players are allowed the help of assistants when playing. The assistants may pass the balls to the players, help adjust the player's position, and in the case of players with severe disabilities, help the player use an assistive device referred to as a ramp to propel the ball. For those players unable to release the ball from the ramp with their hand, there's provision for them to use a head pointer. This enables severely disabled players to skillfully release the ball by using a movement of their head. The court. Competitive boccia is played on a court measuring 12.5 metres by 6 metres. A badminton court can be easily adapted. The court dimensions are in the accompanying leaflet. The playing area is between the throwing line at the front of the player's boxes, the outside lines and the back line. Balls must be inside these lines to be legal. During play, players must not move out of their boxed area unless permitted to do so by the referee. Ramps must not overhang the throwing line. This is the front line of the boxed area, but they are allowed to overhang the sidelines of the player's box whilst playing a shot. The V-line is only used when the jack ball is played. The jack ball must cross the V-line to be in play. The centre cross is where the jack ball is placed when a tie break is played, or if the jack ball is knocked out of court during play. Equipment. To play boccia, you'll need the following equipment: a set of 13 balls, 6 red, 6 blue and 1 white jack ball. Other optional equipment includes a dead ball receptacle, where balls are placed if they've been played illegally, and a scoreboard or some other means of scoring the game. The referee. Boccia games are refereed. The referee is responsible for ensuring the laws of the game are adhered to, and they will need the following equipment: a red-blue indicator to signal which player or team will play next, a measuring device to measure the distance between balls, a score sheet and pen, a coin to decide which player plays which coloured balls. Warm-up. Although boccia is a sedentary sport, it is nevertheless beneficial to warm up before any physical activity. Some gentle stretching and loosening exercises are shown here as examples. Areas of the body should include the neck, shoulders, arms, wrists and fingers, together with the waist and trunk if possible. The game. A match consists of 4 games or ends in singles and pairs competition. 6 ends are played in team games. In our example, we see a singles game being played. The referee introduces the players and him or herself and ensures everyone is aware of the rules. They then toss a coin and the players decide who will call. The referee indicates which player calls correctly, and that player decides which coloured balls they will use. The referee notes on their score sheet which player is playing the red coloured balls. The player playing the red coloured balls will always play first on the first end of a game. On the second end played, the player playing the blue coloured balls will throw the jack. The jack ball will then be played alternatively until the end of the game. Note that in team and pairs games, each player will play the jack ball once. The player playing the red coloured balls will occupy box number 3. Their opponent, playing the blue balls, will occupy box number 4. The referee ensures the players and assistants, if applicable, are in their correct positions for playing and hands the jack ball to the player playing red. The referee displays the red indicator to show that the game may commence. The red player then plays the jack ball into court. If the jack ball does not land in court, the referee calls jack ball out of court and gives the jack ball to the blue player to play. If blue fails to land the jack ball in court, the jack is given back to red to play again. The jack ball is played alternately until it is in court. If the jack lands in a legal area of the court, the referee will signal to the red player to play their first coloured ball. The red player then plays their first red ball, trying to get as close as possible to the jack ball. Note that if the first red ball played does not land in court, the referee will call ball out of court and place the ball in the dead ball tray. The red player will continue to play until a red ball does land in court, or until all red balls are played. If the ball lands in a legal area of court, the referee will then indicate the blue player to play their first ball. If the blue ball does not land in court, the referee calls ball out of court, places the ball in the dead ball tray, and indicates blue to play again. When blue has a ball on court, the referee will judge which of the 2 coloured balls is nearest to the jack ball. The player whose ball is not the nearest to the jack plays next. So if, as in our game, red is closer to the jack, blue will play next. Note that if the closest red and blue balls are the same distance, equidistant from the jack ball, the player who played the last ball will play again. The referee indicates blue to play. After each ball is played, the referee will judge which coloured ball is nearest to the jack and indicate which player throws next. This continues until all 12 coloured balls are played. At the completion of an end, the referee will call all balls played and decide which balls are closest to the jack. A point is gained for each ball of the same colour closest to the jack ball. If the 2 closest balls to the jack ball are equidistant at the completion of an end, the end will be scored as 1-1. The referee informs the players of the score and ensures players agree. The referee then indicates, if appropriate, that ramp assistants may turn around and the balls may be collected. The referee makes a note of the score on the score sheet and updates the scoreboard. The referee informs the players that the next end is to be played and the current score. The referee then passes the jack ball to the blue player to play. The game continues as per the first end. Note that if during the game the jack ball is knocked out of the court, the referee will place the jack on the jack ball cross or just in front of the cross if the cross is covered, and the game will continue. On completion of the final end, the referee announces the final score. If the scores are level, an extra end, known as a tie-break, will be played. In the event of a tie-break being played, a coin is tossed to decide who will play first. The jack ball is placed on the cross marked in the centre of the court, and the referee indicates the game to continue. In the event of a drawn game, in the tie-break, a second tie-break will be played. On final completion of the game, the referee announces the final score. The referee will update the scoreboard, complete the score sheet, and ask the players, or captains in team games, to sign the sheet. Note that in the event of a tie-break, points won in the tie are not added to the player's final score. The tie-break is played purely to decide a winner. Time limits. It's worth noting that at higher level competitions, time limits are usually applied to games, and each player or team has a set amount of time to play their balls. Details of timing for singles, doubles and team games may be found in the accompanying booklet and on the CP ISRA website on www.cpisra.org. Classifications. We will look now at the different player classifications within BOCCIA. Although BOCCIA is a pan-disability and ability sport, to be eligible to play at the qualifying level for national and international recognition, a player must fall into one of the following CP ISRA classifications. BC1. BC1 classification players have movement difficulties strongly affecting the whole body. BC1 players are allowed an assistant. The assistant, when requested by the player, will pass balls and may also help the player if the player needs to move position. The assistant must remain outside the boxed area and behind the player, except when assisting the player in a manner described previously or with the referee's permission. Other than requesting a ball to be passed or help in moving position, there must be no other communication between player and assistant. BC2. BC2 classification players have movement difficulties affecting the whole body. BC2 players are not allowed an assistant. BC3. BC3 classification players have movement difficulties strongly affecting their whole body and use an assistive device to propel balls into court. BC3 players are allowed an assistant. The assistant will manoeuvre the assistive device, the ramp, for the player. The assistant sits in front of the player and, under instruction from the player, lines up the ramp for the player's next shot. The assistant may also, when requested, help the player if the player needs to move position. The assistant must not turn to face the court unless instructed to do so by the referee. The assistant must remain inside of the boxed area, except when assisting the player in a manner described or with the referee's permission, to collect the balls, for example. Other than manoeuvring the ramp or helping the player to move position, there must be no communication between player and assistant until the referee has indicated an end is completed. This classification includes ramp-using wheelchair players with severe locomotor dysfunction in all four limbs of non-CP origin. BC4. The BC4 classification is for wheelchair players with severe locomotor dysfunction in all four limbs of non-CP origin, for example, muscular dystrophy. The player will have a comparable sport function profile to a BC1 or BC2 classification player. BC4 players are not allowed an assistant. Full details of player classifications may be found on the CP ISRA website in the classifications section of the BOCCIA Rules Manual. Now we will look at situations where the rules of BOCCIA are most commonly broken and the penalties that are applied. As with all sports, there are many rules and regulations to abide by. The full current rules of BOCCIA may be found on the CP ISRA website at www.cpisra.org. Violations. There are two main terms to be aware of when considering violations in BOCCIA: retraction and penalty. A retraction is when a ball is stopped by the referee and removed from play after a violation. A penalty is when 2 extra balls are awarded to the opposing player or team after a player has committed a violation. Any penalty balls awarded are taken on completion of the end. If a penalty is awarded, dead balls of the side awarded the penalty will be used. If there are not enough dead balls, balls farthest away from the jack will be used. If any scoring balls are used as penalty balls, the referee will note the score before removing the balls. After the penalty balls have been thrown, any extra points will be added to the score. If, however, after playing the penalty balls, a player disturbs the positioning of the balls so that an opponent's ball lies nearer to the jack ball, then the referee will score the end from the new position. Player drops a ball whilst playing a shot. The referee will decide whether a genuine shot was played or whether the player simply dropped the ball. If the referee believes that the ball was dropped accidentally, the ball is returned to the player to play again. Otherwise, the ball is considered to be a live ball. Players outside boxed areas. If a player plays a ball when any part of the player, the player's chair, or in the case of a BC3 player, their assistant, is on the line or outside of the boxed area, the referee will retract the ball and give 2 penalty balls to the opposition. Ramp overhangs throwing line. If, whilst playing the ball, the ramp of a BC3 player overhangs the front throwing line of the boxed area, the referee will retract the ball and give 2 penalty balls to the opposition. Playing out of turn. If a player plays out of turn, the ball will be retracted. If a player plays a ball before the referee indicates them to do so, the ball will be retracted. A ramp assistant turns into court. A BC3 player's assistant must not turn into court without the referee's permission. The referee will retract the ball and give 2 penalty balls to the opposition. Inappropriate communication between a ramp assistant and player. 2 penalty balls will be awarded to the opposition if, in the referee's opinion, there is inappropriate communication between player and ramp assistant. Failing to move an assistive device to break the horizontal plane of the previous shot. Between shots, a BC3 player must ensure that the ramp they are using is moved to break the horizontal plane of the previous shot. The referee will retract the ball and give 2 penalty balls to the opposition. Whilst a ramp assistant may hold the ball in place on the ramp, the player must be the last person to touch the ball before it's propelled. Failure to do this will result in the ball being retracted. There may be occasions when the referee calls a disrupted end. This will most usually occur due to an error or action by the referee, such as accidentally disturbing the balls. In this case, the referee will return the balls to their original position. If this is not possible, the end will be restarted. Finally, a few words from a competitor and the parent of a competitor describing how playing BOCCIA has affected their lives.
You're part of a absolutely fabulous Paralympic sport, and I really love competing. I really enjoy playing it, and I take it take it seriously as well.
I think as a parent personally, talking to another parent, don't be afraid to go to the first competition, because once you get to that first competition, you're hooked, absolutely hooked. Parents are probably the best committers, if you like, to enable their child, their athlete, to excel.
Boccia is a truly inspirational sport. We hope that this introduction to boccia has given you an insight into the game, and we hope you enjoy playing and being involved in the sport. For further information or advice on the game of boccia, please contact CP Sport at the address given at the end of this film. CP Sport also sells international quality boccia balls. All profits from this film and boccia ball sales goes to further developing the game of boccia. A very big thank you to everyone who took part in the making of this film.